Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give me a few minutes. We'll be right back. All right, check 1, 2. Just making sure everything sounds good. All right, y'all, we in the building. Yes, sir. What's good? What's good? What's good? Let me see something real quick. All right. Check 1, 2. Woo! Woo! Okay, KK. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? This is Thoughts of the Week podcast. We appreciate y'all, man. We appreciate y'all for coming in. Kind of like a impromptu live. We are also live on our Twitter page, Thoughts of the Week podcast. And we're not going to be on here too long, man. Going to play a video, maybe stop and go a little bit, talk about it, and then we're going to bounce up out of here. All right? Yeah. This beat is created by me, you know. What y'all think about it? Yeah, I know the sample, though. Yeah. We're going to get into it, right? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Just give us about a minute or so or less. Okay. All right, we're going to get into it. So check it out. All right, so I want to shout out all the generals in the house, and the generals being the generals being Dr. Claude Anderson, one of the generals. Can we get a clap for that? Another one of the generals. Let's see, Claude Anderson is still alive and living today. Another one of the generals who has gone. Neely Fuller Jr. Let's give a clap for that. Yes, indeed. Another one of the generals is the big sis, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Then we have one of the generals, Malcolm X. Another one of the generals, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We got two more generals to go. Dr. John Henry Clark, one of the generals in the place. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And finally, one of the generals, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Let's give it up. So thinking about Dr. Claude Anderson, I remember one of his videos. He mentioned something along the lines of, when there is bad behavior, even if it's amongst our people or others, start calling them out. That's been one of the problems. People just been allowed to kind of slip and slide around the place. All right. They just been allowed to slip and slide, whether it's Black Americans that's on that coon time, or it's one of them immigrants that's on that coon time. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna call it out. All right. And we have one of those today. He said his mom, he either said his mom is Panamanian and his dad is Jamaican, or vice versa, but we'll hear it in a second, man. And we still see why a lot of people still wondering and saying, I seen a video yesterday. I hope I'll be able to find it. I might we might come back on another episode and do a video on that video, because it'll kind of blend in or go along with this one. It kind of can be like a continuation, so to speak. I might just do that. I might do it pretty soon. But we still have immigrants who still have an issue with FBA, Black Americans, however you want to call yourselves. If you have descendants, you are a descendant of those who were enslaved in America. And here's one of the dudes right here. We're gonna give you a little bit of his dossier and let you know what type of time he's been on. All right. So with that being said, with no further ado, we ain't gonna waste no more time. You know what it is. You're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. Let's get it. You're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. Yeah, so we appreciate y'all for coming back to Thoughts of the Week podcast. I have some new subscribers and I want to shout out to them. I don't have everybody's name and things like that, but I definitely want to shout y'all out. Hold on here. My phone is ailing. Okay, so we still good. Again, we are live on Twitter Spaces right as I speak right now. And we'll see if some people join in. Maybe they won't. That's cool. If they come in and listen, that's cool too. And if they come in and decide they want to tap in on some comments, we could do that too. All right. So yeah, Byron Lowell Donalds says no reparations for FBA. And people say, oh, no, he didn't say that. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. But it's all good because we're going to show you. And that goes back to the delineation movement. You hear a lot of Jamaican immigrants, Panamanian immigrants, African immigrants, so on and so forth, making up and projecting. That's why I was talking about there was a video I watched, and man, the two of them guys on there was projecting and gaslighting like I don't know what. And we might have to expose them next and break some stuff down. But this is why the delineation movement is going on, man, because Black Americans have realized how nice they've been for other people, even through the government systems, the court systems, the legal systems, fighting for other immigrants that have similar skin tones and colors as them, and been fighting to get them over here. And then for years, interacting with them, but been noticing some little funny stuff here and there. But, was just kind of brushing it to the side and was just still being inviting to them and showing love and like, hey, come on, man, come on and join us. And let's show you this. Let's show you our music and let's show you how we get down. And here, come on and join in on this, to the point where some people, immigrants, will come and think that what Black Americans was showing them, all of a sudden they created. They the ones who developed it, because it's been a thing that you've been, or Black Americans been too nice, right? And it seems like there's a problem now when Black Americans saying, hey, you know what? We just going to kind of look out for our own, because everybody else does the same for their people. They look out for their own. They create these programs for them, their own, and y'all don't invite us in it. So hey, we just gonna go. We're gonna start doing the same thing, and then that causes a big old problem. People have issue with that. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of weird that all of a sudden, when you stand up, kind of say, you know what, I'm gonna look out and stand up for myself, then all of a sudden that's when people have the problems. It's just like when you're in a relationship and somebody's, you allowing people to kind of step on you, step over you, and they just getting used to it, used to it, used to it, and you don't do nothing. But then after a while, you just say, you know what, I ain't gonna do that no more. And then as soon as you stand up, speak up, let people know you ain't going for the BS no more, then all of a sudden they get mad at you. Like you ain't supposed to do that. You're supposed to allow me to step on you, take advantage of you, take advantage of your resources, say anything we want to say about you. And you're not supposed to do nothing. No, you're not supposed to do that. And that's how a lot of immigrants feel, whether they're Spanish immigrants, they're immigrants that look like they're Black Americans. They all feel like the same thing. But everybody's starting to get that wake up call, right? Everybody's starting to get that wake up call. And with with Trump in play as well, folks is getting that wake up call. You know what I'm saying? So let's go on and pull up this video right quick, and let's see. We'll play the full thing and then we'll kind of go back and chop things up, because you'll probably see as it's being played, you might look at it and say, and see some things yourself, be like, and have some thoughts about what you're seeing and hearing. So, let's get into it. All right. Let's get into it. All right.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain
Okay.
that.
So now, what is your position
On reparations. I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
Well, then you don't believe in the black community.
I will tell you, brother, in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're gonna get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one: of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America. Of American slavery. There was slavery in the Caribbean. The one brother came up, he said that he's first generation of the brother in the Congo because his parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica. So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not. Because my family is from Jamaica. My father's Panamanian. His grandparents were born in Panama. My father immigrated to the United States. So does that make me eligible?
All right. Shout out to FBA Daily for that one. We appreciate it. And we're gonna get back into that video here in just a second. And I'm definitely gonna be reading some of the stuff that was on that video because there might be those who decide to listen to this live spaces on Twitter later on and they can't see the video. If you end up listening to this from Twitter Spaces, and you might want to see the video. You can go to YouTube at Thoughts of the Week podcast and check out the video. But while we're live on Twitter Spaces as well, I'm going to go ahead and be reading some of the things that's on the video. All right. And so, with that being said, let's go. Let's break this down a little bit. All right, and get into this video again. From time to time, I'm going to have to put my mic because I got to figure out how to. And hold on, wait a minute. I might be able to do this. Hold on a second here. Maybe, maybe not. I might have to try to figure it out later. I don't want to waste too much time trying to get the technical stuff situated. So we'll do that another time. So what I'm going to be doing from time to time, so those who will be listening to this on the Twitter Spaces, I'm going to be putting the microphone to the speakers of the laptop. That way you guys can hear what's being said in the video. And then the times when it's just music and it's just the text on the screen, we'll be reading those through. All right. So for those who's watching us, just kind of bear with me as well, because you're going to have Twitter audiences as well. All right. So let's get back into this video and just kind of break some things down and listen a little bit and watch as well and watch the trick plays being played. All right. So let's listen in real quick.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't. Mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot
Mother's Jamaican, father's Panamanian. All right.
of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Of course not. And they shouldn't expect to be getting, quote unquote, that benefit. All right. Their history, their family tree, their lineage does not fall on the land of the U.S. where black people were enslaved on plantations made to do a lot of horrific things and a lot of horrific things being done to them. So yeah, you're right. Byron, that's correct. So why even bring up the point? All right.
who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No.
And what's old girl's name? You see what she did? For those who are listening in, what is her name? Rye, Angela Rye, I think her name is. Throwing up the fingers, FBA. You know, she's been real slick with her with the things she's been saying, and she's been called out on a lot of her BS as well. I think she's a Black American, but you already see how we have some of our own who's on that coon train. All right.
In America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain
Okay.
that.
All right. Reparations are for foundational Black Americans, not a Pan-African free-for-all. I'm reading this for those who are listening on Twitter or who will be listening to the replay. All right. So that's as the video goes, we'll read what needs to be read. All right. And so that needs to be understood. Reparations are for foundational Black Americans, not a Pan-African free-for-all, not just for everybody who decides they want to come into the US and, you know, put down their flag, and because they live in America all of a sudden, well, reparations for us too, because we Black Americans too. But then when you talk to them, I'm not Black. You've seen some of my full clips, especially the one where a lot of the immigrant class was saying how they not Black. So you see this is how they feel. But then when it comes to getting something, then all of a sudden they Black Americans, right? All of a sudden they Black. See how that works? That's interesting, ain't it? Organizations like the National African American Reparations Commission want to include all Black people in receiving reparations from the US. That's NARC, which stands for National African American Reparations Commission. They want to include all Black people in receiving reparations from the US, even if they're not descendants of American slavery. All right. Now, I'm trying to think of something that I can really bring this home to make sense. So, let's say you live in a house, right? I live in a house and I go to work and I'm working hard, or you can even be in the same house if you want to put it, but we'll keep it from house to house. Um, I go to work, make money, come home, but you just decided you feel like you should get my check for me working, right? It's kind of like what they're saying here with the NARC, which is National African American Reparations Commission, is saying they want to include all Black people to receiving reparations. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of work, but then you feel like, hey, I should get your check. And the people in my family should get your check too, get some proceeds from you. That's kind of like what NARC is trying to say. All these benefits that none of their family tree have been involved in down the line since, 1700s, 1800s, 1600s, maybe even far back as the 1400s. And you just believe that, oh yeah, NARC being the National African American Reparations Commission just feels like, well, yeah, everybody should get a piece of that pie. So it's just like, again, like I'm working, I'll work for 30 years, and let's say I didn't get paid for those 30 years. And on the 30th year, it's time to give me all that money that I worked for. But then You living next door to me, you just feel like you should receive some or all of it. That's how narc feels, all right? That's how narc feels. All right. Not only is a picture of, for those who are listening, and there's a picture in the video of Byron Donalds, and right next to it, it says, not only do you have organizations actively trying to oppose reparations for FBAs, but you have immigrant descendants who are in the House and Senate that are actively working to undermine the campaign simply because descendants of immigrants like themselves don't qualify. And then that's where we get the tether name coming from. One of the things that tethers do, like you see, like I just read, they work to undermine things regarding Black Americans. So if you're, that's just one part of the definition. So if you're one of those who's like into undermining what's going on with FBAs / Black Americans, if you will, not the Black Americans who are immigrants wanting to call themselves Black Americans. We're talking about those who people have been enslaved in America. All right. So if you're one of those who's like always trying to undermine any type of FBA movements, anything the FBA is trying to do, trying to get accomplished, then yeah, you would tether. On top of other things, trying to tether yourself onto our movements and the things that we're doing. All right. Let's continue.
So now, what is your position on reparations?
All right. So it's an old man. I think he's a Black American. He's asking, I think on the panel is Byron Donalds, is one of the guys on there. And I'm not sure who the other guy is. I want to say it's Wes Moore, and Wes Moore is Jamaican, but I'm not sure because it's hard to see in the video. But I think it's Byron Donalds up on there and Wes Moore, I think. So let's listen in again.
So now, what is your position on reparations?
Now you hear the crowd like, ooh, and nobody, everybody was, a few people probably was scared to ask, but Pops was like, yo, I'm about to bust this question on them. And they were like, ooh, yeah. All right.
So now, what is your position on reparations? I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
That does sound like Byron Donald's voice, but I'm not sure if that's him talking. So let's go back real quick. One more time, Pops. Bust the question on him.
So
Play
now,
ball.
what is your position on reparations? I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
And he doesn't believe in reparations because he knows that him or his family line can't get anything from reparations. So, of course, naturally, yeah, you're not going to believe in it, but you call yourself Black or Black looking, or you might say that you're for Black people, but you're not for Black people. All right. You are for a certain type of Black people, so-called Black people. Right. So that's what that's about. That's why a lot of them are against it because they know they can't get nothing from it.
I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't. Well, then you don't believe in the black community. I will tell you, brother, in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're gonna get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one: of all Black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because
Now he says of all Black people in the country, how many of them are actually, I think he said, descendants of slaves. But that's one of those trick ways to pose a question because when he's saying Black people, he's also meaning without meaning or without saying He's referring to Jamaicans, Haitians, Kenyans, Nigerians, and going on and on, Ghanaians, South Africans. We can go on and on and on. Egyptians, all of those people that are here in America. He's looking at it and kind of, they people like to use when the time is right or when it works in their favor, they'll say black. So yeah, you could say black people, but in this context, he's meaning like everybody. He's not referring to just black Americans because it's obvious. That that only makes sense.
Of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because
Of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually slaves? Did he say slaves or descendants of slaves?
all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves?
All right,
Because you
here we go. Descendants of slaves. That's easy, man. That's easy to figure out. That's easy to realize. Research, you can research your lineage and figure that out real quick. That ain't hard to figure out.
had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America. Of
And he's saying we had a lot of immigration as if that's like an obstacle on figuring out how many descendants of slaves are in America. So I'm doing this because I want y'all to see the trickery in the games, how they try to switch stuff and play. And sometimes when you're in these type of forums, when you're with people in, face to face, you might let people talk and some things kind of slide past you, but then you have the opportunity later to go back and pull up video and kind of break things down piece by piece. But sometimes you got to have a real good ear when you actually standing in the same room with folks and they saying stuff, and then you can catch things in real time. But I want to kind of go through this, so if you ever happen to go to another forum or function or town hall meeting and you see one of these folks there and they get to talking, you can and they start using the same kind of lines like they doing in this video. You can kind of catch it and cut them off real quick and start questioning them or bringing up facts or whatever you need to do. So you got to kind of catch this stuff.
economics of reparations right now.
Let's
And
go back.
the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're going to get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one, of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America. Of American slavery, there was slavery.
All right, y'all hold on a second. I want to see something real quick. Y'all stand by for a second here. I'm going to see something real quick.
Bluetooth connected.
All right. I want to see something real quick. Let me play this real quick.
Slavery in the Caribbean.
Okay. It's still not going to work. Okay.
Bluetooth disconnected.
All right. The next time out, for those who are listening on Spaces, I'm going to try to make sure. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I might be able to do something here. Hold on. Nah, we'll wait. I don't want to work up, fix any technical difficulties. There's really none per se, but we're going to continue back in. So let's go back a little bit and break this down a little bit further. All right, here we go.
I will tell you, brother, in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're going to get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one, of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves?
All right, that's very easy to go look up and research. You can research your lineage. If everybody, Black American, specifically FBAs, Black Americans, some people call themselves freedmen's, some people call themselves Negro. That's all the same lineage group. All right, that's all part of the same lineage. Those who are descendants of those who were enslaved in America. So that question he asked is not a complicated answer to that because you can just look up and research it. It may take some time to get the info, but you can research that. But he's making it seem as though like, hey, how many of y'all are this?
What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're going to get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one, of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years.
And then he brings up they had because we had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years. That doesn't mean anything because you still can look up that stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, even when there's immigration, isn't that documented to some degree? So he's trying to throw it in there and make you think as if, well, because it's been so much hundred of years of immigration, and how many of y'all are descendants of those enslaved in America, as if to say, like, because of all of those obstacles, there's no way. That's why I don't believe in reparations. No, it is. He just don't want to be involved in doing the heavy lifting of research. It's too much. And so, and then on top of that, like I said, his people won't be able to receive it, which is really the real deal. But since he's throwing these other things in the mix, that is also the reason why he is also saying that, because that involves some research. But there's no, that's not an obstacle. We've got a lot of people that can just research their lineage and find out who's who. And like I said, if I'm not mistaken, the immigrants who come over here, for the most part, probably you already have some that fall through the cracks. Those are documented. So you would know this person came from the Caribbean, this person came from Cuba, this person came from Kenya. That shouldn't be hard at all to figure out. But he's throwing it in there as if like this is some difficult feat, right? So let's continue in.
People in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America. American slavery. There was slavery in the Caribbean. The one brother came up.
Then he brings up there's slavery in the Caribbean. Well, if there was slavery in the Caribbean, then Caribbeans who isn't CARICOM part of that, where they're looking up, and I also did on, if you guys check out my other channel, What's the 411 News, I think I did something on that where the Caribbeans are going to other countries to claim their reparations. So, but he's trying to put that in and to throw that in like, well, Caribbeans were enslaved too. So they need to take their claim up with the British or the French. That's who they go to. Those in America need to go to the American government. Actually, everybody on the planet owes Black Americans, because everybody on the planet has something to do with Black American slavery. But for the sake of just explanation to some degree, the Caribbeans need to go where they need to go and make their claim, and Black Americans can make their claim here. But he's trying to throw that in like this some type of, well, Caribbeans were slave too. They were slavery. All right. Let's listen back in.
He said that he's first generation of the brother in the Congo because his parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica. So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States.
Now, here was the trick. Now, I'm going to play this part back because he got real slick with this. My mom was born in the United States. But then you later hear him say his mother is either Jamaican or Panamanian. I forget which one he said. And that's another slick game they play too. You got to listen carefully because they always expose themselves. The immigrants expose themselves all the time. You just got to be able to listen carefully, because they'll say, I was born such and such, or my mom or my this was born in America. And then they'll say something, and then either they won't put up the other details, but this guy, he did. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that's Byron Donalds talking or Westmore, but he says one thing and then he exposes himself in the very next line. So This is one of the things I wanted y'all to also hear and watch the games being played. All right. So let me play that again. Watch the little trickery.
So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly
His grandmother's Jamaican. All right. Hear that?
what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States.
His mother was born in the United States. Watch the game.
I'm born in the United States.
He's born in the United States. Watch the game playing. Watch the trickery.
So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now?
Now, he said he was born in the United States. His mama was born in the United States. Then he says, is he eligible for reparations? And he's saying, I would say no. Why not? Why did you try to trick everybody and throw everybody off by saying you was born in America and your mom was too? But then you say on the next breath, he don't think he'll be eligible for reparations because you're not a black American. You're not a foundational black American. You can't trace your lineage back to the killing fields of the plantations in America. All right. That's why. But these are the little trick games they try to play on folks with the wording. That's why you got to pay attention to what people say. You can catch them. All right. Now let me play that back again and see what I'm talking about. Listen again. All right. To all my people on Twitter, listen again. Watch this. Pay attention to the wordplay.
His parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica. So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not.
You're not a black man, you're a Jamaican man. Because that's where your family's from. You Jamaican, you're not black. Now, like I said, y'all watch my full clip series, and there's more full clips coming. The one episode where you had the people saying the different immigrants, one was from Haiti, one was from some African country. They were saying how they not black. But now in this sense, all of a sudden he's a black man. See, they interchange black man when it's beneficial for them, or black woman. All right. So peep the game. Let's play this one more time. Let's play this back one more time. Peep it.
His parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica. So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not. Because my family is from Jamaica. My father.
There you go. So he exposed himself. He played the little game about him being born in America and his mom born in America. And then he exposed himself. Well, my father's Panamanian. My mama's Jamaican. So you being born in America doesn't make you a foundational black American. All right. You are what your parents are. You dig?
Panamanian. His grandparents were born in Panama. My father immigrated to the United States. So does that make me eligible?
All right. So it says immigrants and children of immigrants make up at least 15% of 119th Congress. I mean, let's look at that real quick. For those who are listening on Twitter Spaces, immigrants and the children of immigrants make up at least 15%. And that looks like 119th Congress. And you got Barack Obama's picture in there. You got Byron Donalds. You see Kamala Harris. I don't know who the other black chick with the curly hair is, and who these others, these couple of black guys. I say black guys to kind of explain. Immigrants. And another lady there. And I don't know if that's Ilhan Omar on the bottom or not. It doesn't look like it. And then you see some on the other side, the pictures, you got an Asian dude, what looks like a couple of Hispanic people, and this one dude looks like he's probably Middle Eastern, has a Middle Eastern background. Although he looks like a white man you might just see on the street. And so they're showing those pictures of all these different immigrants. So they make up 15% of the 119th Congress. All right. That's something to think about. All these people are in Congress and they're looking out for their own. They're not coming up with things to look out for foundational Black Americans or Negro or freedmen. And like I said, we all the same lineage. It's just different names that people decide to call themselves. But I can't remember, and I don't remember anybody speaking on how any of these immigrants inside the Congress have done anything to look out for FBA. They're going to be in there for their own people's interest. But we, as Black Americans, as foundational Black Americans, we always so concerned and being nice about everybody else. What is wrong with you taking care of your own, making sure your own's good? Then you can take care of other people. But everybody gets mad when you want to do that. I mean, listen, let's take a look at the psychology of it, the psyche of that. Get mad. This is just like, again, I'm going to bring it back home. Let me bring it back home real quick. So, you're a neighbor of mine's, we might work at the same job. We might hang out at the same spots. And I got kids, you got kids. But anything that happens to your kids, I'm supposed to look out for them. Anything that happens with mine, I'm not supposed to make sure my own kids is good. And if I start making sure my own kids is good first, then all these neighbors is mad at me. That's the same thing that's going on here on a bigger scale. That's all it is. You can just bring it down to the simple to understand the greater. That's all it is. Now we all deciding, a lot of us Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, are looking at it and say, wait a minute, we've been looking out for y'all, being nice and sweet to y'all. Stuff happens to y'all on the street, we standing up for y'all, looking out for y'all. But when the same thing happened with us, y'all seem to move funny. You know what I'm saying? Y'all seem to move real funny when we looking for y'all to kind of step in and look out. Y'all moving real funny, real damn funny. Nah, we ain't with it no more. We're just gonna look out for us, and then everybody start getting mad. That's what it's all about. We just break it down and make it simple. It's that easy. So for everybody, for all these people, these immigrants who might be checking out this video, and then they'll go back and start making their videos, because a lot of them gaslight on TikTok, on YouTube. They go, I can't understand why they're doing the boycotts on Africans, and I can't just on all these all immigrant businesses, and that's so stupid, and that makes them look bad, and they're gonna mess themselves up. No, because it don't look like that's what's happening. I think I'm gonna do another one. We're gonna come back on another episode, and I'm gonna play this other video. Man, I gotta make sure I find it. Wait till you listen to the gaslighting and projecting they doing on that. It's crazy, but that's basically what it is. You break it down simple to understand the greater of it. It's just like I just said. I have me and my family as a Black American. You can be a next door neighbor of whatever immigrant background you are, and you're expecting me to make sure I look out for your kids, stand up for your kids. Although I'm a Black American, and as a whole, our nature is to look out. Like, we don't want no kids to get harmed and beat up and stuff like that, damaged. So we're gonna naturally look out for your kids anyway. But then the moment we decide, you know what, I'm just gonna make sure my kids are good for right now, and everybody get mad. That's the same thing that's happening now. Black Americans is just looking at this thing and saying, wait a minute, we've been looking out for y'all, standing up, fighting, and all y'all doing is still being on the hate train for some reason. You know what? We good. We good. Y'all do y'all thing. It's your turn to stand up for yourself. We just gonna sit back and see how y'all do it, or if y'all do it, or if you're gonna come waiting for us to look out for you, right? That's all that's about. And that's how easy you break it down. All right, so let's continue on. Again, immigrants and children of immigrants make up at least 15% of 119th Congress. And again, there's the image of all these immigrants on the picture here. All right, so let's play the video some more. All right. So it says politicians that descend from immigrants want to have access to resources that only foundational Black Americans have fought for with their lives. And that's big facts because immigrants are not eligible. They would rather deny foundational Black Americans their reparative justice. And that's facts on facts on facts. All right. This is why at the very beginning, let me put this back at the beginning and play this one more time. Oh, Byron. This is why he's one of the reasons why he's on this.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain
Okay.
that.
All right. So that's why they on that. Okay. Let's play this one more time. That's why they on one. Again, politicians that descend from immigrants want to have access to resources that only foundational Black Americans have fought for with their lives. Because immigrants are not eligible, they would rather deny foundational Black Americans their reparative justice. So instead of all you immigrant Black looking, as Vicky Diller would say, Black looking people, Black looking folks, instead of you standing up like we've been standing up for y'all to even come over to this country, and then you get over here and say, you know what, they deserve them reparations, and fighting for it the same way for us, instead of doing that, they would rather deny foundational Black Americans their reparative justice. Deny it. And you'll see it in videos. And there's loads of videos out there. Nah, I don't believe in reparations. Nah, they shouldn't get nothing. Because they know they can get it, but they don't realize if they stand up and do that, then we'll reciprocate, because everybody knows, and it's throughout his known history, how Black Americans stand up and fight. This is known history. It ain't just happened yesterday. So the people that know. They know when foundational Black Americans are tired and they ready to start going to town on some things, you ain't stopping them. So there's people that know that. So they go out and try to find ways to make sure they sabotage Black Americans to even think about wanting to stand up and fight against anything. Because they know the history. But these Black looking immigrants don't go and check the history and learn themselves, and then they don't think and say to themselves, well, hey, if we stand up for them and let them, and for them to get what they can get, we know how they get down. They always fighting for everybody. So they're gonna help us and get our stuff too. But they don't think like that. All right. So let's go on and continue to play. All right. It says foundational Black Americans are not eligible for immigrant specific. Listen to the words, man. Foundational Black Americans are not eligible for immigrant specific programs only for immigrants. Foundational Black Americans are not eligible for immigrant specific programs because those are designed for recent immigrants, refugees, asylees, non-citizen or newly naturalized citizens. Okay, so that's their reasoning. Let's continue playing. All right, here we go. So this says foundational Black Americans are the only group, weird choice of words, I would say the only lineage that is supposed to share their specific benefits with every other group. Now that's what they're expecting. That's what they want. That's their expectation. That foundational Black Americans are the only group that is supposed to share their specific benefits with other groups. But yet, I just read to you, let me go back a little bit. I just read this to you where it says foundational Black Americans are not eligible for immigrant specific programs because those are designed for recent immigrants, refugees, asylees, non citizens, or newly naturalized citizens. But here's then what they expect and they want. All right. They say that foundational Black Americans are the only group that is supposed to share their specific benefits with every group, but they can't get benefits that's only specific, immigrant specific. All right. So again, foundational Black Americans are the only group that is supposed to share their specific benefits with every group. Do not allow Black immigrants to be a voice for foundational Black American issues. They are a Trojan horse sent into our communities to sabotage us. Facts. All right, straight facts. Let the video play a little bit more. It looks like that's going to be it. Yep. And so, yeah, shout out again to FBA Daily for that. Much respect for them doing that work. Appreciate y'all, man. And so there you go. All right. Byron Donalds is just not the only one. Oh, we're going to expose even some of our own folks, those who are in these sororities and fraternities, because we want to know what have they done for us as well. And this is not a thing where, because I know there's going to be some immigrants who are saying, oh, you Black Americans y'all just beg. We already know all the words and all the game plan and all the psychological mind games they're going to try to play. And this is also for the young ones, the young Black Americans who might be coming across these videos. We definitely want y'all to be knowledgeable too, because you're going to hear a lot of those immigrants coming up with the same wordplay. Y'all just beg and y'all just want to be handed stuff, but yet there was stuff handed to other type of people. Japanese got reparations. Afghans got money. We did reports on this on our news channel. What's the 411 News? Y'all go and subscribe to that channel as well on YouTube and other platforms that you might find it on. But we expose that stuff. And so they're gonna play the same little word games. Oh, they just begging and this and that, and not realizing how they were able to come over here in the first place and benefit. But we have the full clip videos. Y'all can go watch those because some of the immigrants expose it. Some of them tell the truth. A couple of them here and there. We got a lady, I think she's from an African country. Then they got an African man who just bust down on his own people. So we got the full clip series always coming. We're going to have another full clip coming up. It'll be posted here shortly, and you'll be able to hear it on this coming Monday. It's like it's the same guy again from the last one. All right, so y'all be sure to check that out. But yeah, we go, we here to expose Byron Donalds. You see what time he's on. All right, there's a lot more stuff I could put out on this on Byron, but we're gonna just leave it at that. We're gonna leave it at that. All right. Again, shout out to all the generals who have gone, and I think there's only one general left. That's Dr. Claude Anderson. So we got Dr. Claude Anderson, Neely Fuller Jr., I say Dick Gregory, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John Henry Clark, Khalid Muhammad, and the only female general, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. All right. What's that? That's 5 or 6 generals. Only one general left out the crew. Still living right now. That's Dr. Claude Anderson. Still alive and well. I kept saying to myself, I want to get an interview with him. I hope I'll be able to get one. But I want to make sure I get questions down first before I even reach out to try to get an interview with him and come on here live. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Dr. Claude Anderson is really up in age. I think he's in his 80s now. So I don't know. But that's one of the generals. That's one of the last generals left. He's the only general left. But maybe it can happen. If not, it's all good. He still has a legacy of videos we can always go back and play. All right. And books as well. So, but yeah, there you have it, man. Byron. Byron. One more time. Let's play this.
My
real
mother's
quick.
Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain
Okay.
that.
And one more thing before I get out of here. Although Angela Rye's a little slickster, I think she's Black American, I think. But if she is, she's one of our coon class people. She's been saying some little slick stuff out the way against Black Americans. But she'll go on and try to lie and say how she was this and that for Black Americans. But she's been debunked numerous times. But I want to say this. There's been people that have been saying how FBA is only known on Twitter. And FBA is this, nobody knows about it. Nobody uses that word and terms. But how did it come from Twitter out of this lady's mouth? I want to know. Let's play it again.
Support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No.
How did foundational Black Americans get so far and leave Twitter and end up in the mouth of people outside of Twitter? One more time.
America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit.
Support.
Okay, again, real quick. How did FBA or the word foundational Black Americans, if that's only on Twitter or just a small social media platform, then how did it reach out for her to use it?
Reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational Black Americans?
No.
That's all I want to say. Again, I appreciate y'all for jumping in, coming in. We ain't done. We got a lot of more, a lot of more videos to go. Different times, different topics. I'm into a lot of different topics, but we was on one of these today. So again, I appreciate y'all for coming in. Much respect, much thanks for the people who have subscribed on the YouTube channel. My subscriptions went up some. Appreciate y'all for joining. All right. Thank y'all for subscribing to the YouTube channel. And shout out to those who might be checking this out on the Twitter spaces, in the Twitter places with the Twitter faces. We thank y'all for coming in, man. All right. Much appreciated, much respect. And with that being said, you're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast, and I'm out of here. All right. Peace, one love. Don't worry, we'll be back with another one. Ghosts.
Yo,